Educators accused in the abuse of several disabled students at Longview ISD's J.L. Everhart Elementary are waiting on a judge to decide what to do about missing evidence. Cassandra James and Linda Lister are each charged with 18 counts related to child abuse. KLTV7's April Peardon tells us how the defense and prosecutors are working to gather all of the evidence in this case before trial.
Mrs. James is here, is that correct?
She is, Your Honor.
Cassandra James of Hallsville appeared in court today with Linda Lister of Longview. They are both charged with 18 counts related to child abuse. This is in connection with the 6 former employees who were accused of abuse of 11 disabled children spanning from 2019 through 2021 at J.L. Everhart in Longview ISD. In June, there was a request to try both women individually. Today, a motion to quash regarding missing evidence from all parties was discussed.
I'm leaning toward the denying and having a protective order produced among the parties.
Longview Independent School District hired 2 law firms to investigate complaints that later became part of criminal cases. Some of that info was shared with law enforcement and passed on to the prosecutor, Chris Boto.
There are emails, there are written statements, there are audio recordings of witnesses.
To which defense attorney Kenneth Biggs, who's representing Cassandra James, noticed some materials were missing that the law firms were not handing over.
Things that we think are important and pertinent to our client's defense.
State prosecutor Chris Boto agreed that all materials should be shared for a fair trial.
If there's evidence out there, we all need it. So that's all I can say.
To which law firm Lesser Crass, representing Longview ISD, said they were filed motion to quash because they were subpoenaed for all of their records as part of that investigation.
I just am not comfortable, my firm is not comfortable handing over anything to attorney-client in this.
April Peardon, KLTV 7 News.
A decision on that missing evidence is expected